What's up, y'all? Back again. Another episode of Fight Court. I'm Din Thomas. We got my man Ryan Quinn on the ones and twos. Yes, y'all. Ryan, what's going on?
Not much. Got a lot of little fun stuff to talk about. Hey, what's going on with you? Actually, I got some stuff about you to talk about today.
I know, I always got like something going on with me, man. I don't even know what it is I got going on with me, but it's just every once in a while, man, I find myself in the middle of something or on the outside of something or somewhere.
Well,
but I'm good with that. What do you got for me?
Well, first off, I gotta defend myself on something. You know, you're making fun of me with my book I was reading about Nintendo versus Sega in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
There was something really cool at the end. So, and this goes with this. We've seen this in MMA, you know, but anyway, so Sega was winning, right? The battle in the 90s. The first crack in the dam was there was an office, a Sega of America and Sega of Japan. Sega of Japan, I was an American author. Sega of Japan got jealous of Sega of America with the progress they were making. And then the one team, friction. And then they started, and PlayStation was slick. They were working with Sega, and then they started working with Sega in Japan on something, Sega in America on the others, and wedged themselves right in between. And then lo and behold, there's really no more Sega. It's all PlayStation, Sony PlayStation, and Nintendo. It shows that team culture happens, and it's important everywhere. Otherwise, cracks in the dam happen, and it'll take down a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
See that? You got to have cohesion.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I was like, when I read that, I'm like sharing with people at work. I'm like, I think Dean would like this. And I got to tell him earlier because he was making fun of me reading my Nintendo book.
No, I like that though. No, I make fun of you only because I always look to make fun of everybody somewhere.
Yeah.
I find it good, man, that you expand yourself to read books like that because you never know where you're going to find inspiration.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But no, honestly, if you're in the wrong group of friends, if you can't take a little shit here and there, you're in the right industry.
Yeah, no doubt. So I haven't talked to you since UFC BJJ. Did you happen to catch that?
I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch all, but obviously, my whole jiu-jitsu team was watching it. Was super pumped to see you on there.
Oh, really? They said, "Oh, that's the dude who come in on the morning sometimes."
Yeah. So what did you think? I mean, it's great what they're doing. I really love what jiu-jitsu is ramping up to as a whole, but go ahead.
No, I love the fact that the UFC has kind of taken the reins on this and said, you know what, let's really try to promote this and get this back out there. Because as you know, like we've been doing this for so long and we probably got into it we got into MMA because of jiu-jitsu. And most guys don't get into it for that reason anymore. They kind of get into it because they listen to Joe Rogan and Jocko Willenick, they hear their podcast and then they start doing jiu-jitsu. And I almost feel like at some point, like the jiu-jitsu community turned on MMA and it was bad. And I know MMA guys turned on jiu-jitsu. So it was just like this big like disassociation between the two. And I'm just glad that it's kind of coming back around. And I'm sure that there are some jiu-jitsu enthusiasts who don't like it, but the MMA people seem to really be taken to this. I know jiu-jitsu people are probably like, these guys, they don't know what they're doing. Let's stick with the Ashigarami. But the reality is this is good for jiu-jitsu.
1000%. It's like I was at a WNO a couple weeks ago, and they're already talking like that's the competitor. And when you have competition, that creates the best. And I think it's a great time for jiu-jitsu. And you know what I think it was with MMA and jiu-jitsu, the rift was a lot of people got into the mindset that jiu-jitsu doesn't work for MMA. But
it was
the BS about that is if you're training jiu-jitsu defense, you're still training jiu-jitsu. And if you don't train that jiu-jitsu defense, you're going to lose to jiu-jitsu. So it was a little hypocritical why that rift happened. And then, jiu-jitsu people, well, screw this, like jiu-jitsu. So, but I'm happy. I think it's coming full circle. I think you're starting to see more people look to use their jiu-jitsu in fights again. So I think it's all great.
Well, it's crazy because like I saw in the audience, and I made a mention on this on the broadcast. You know me, I always take shots at guys, but it was in the audience.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like Sean Strickland and some other guys, and I'm like, funny how these guys are here supporting this jujitsu and refuse to use jujitsu in fights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like because in their mind, they like you said, they don't think it works. So then there became this mentality that jujitsu doesn't work, and
Mhm.
if you're doing it, you're going to get beat up, blah, 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 blah. So anybody who actually does use it has no support. And that's my issue. Is they don't have any support. That's why. So I hit up Eric Nixick this week. He's coaching Roman Dolidze against Anthony Hernandez this weekend. And
Mhm.
I said, hey man, Roman's going to use his guard, right? He's not just going to like try to stand back. He's going to use his guard, right? He goes, I hope so. And like you just never know, right? Because like we're in this mentality that as soon as you hit your back, just get up as fast as you can. But Roman Dolidze has a tremendous have you seen his
Yeah.
guard?
I love watching him work. I love watching.
His guard, he's got the best guard in MMA.
Hmm.
Like he
Agreed.
gets on his back, he starts elbowing you in the head, then he goes for that arm. But I watched it actually with Jillian Robertson the other day. And she was like, he's got a guard like a girl. And she meant that in the best way possible, that like his hips are just so flexible and they're
Yep.
just so and he swivels so well. Most guys don't do that. Most guys are just like turtles on their back until they can get back up. But
Yeah.
Roman Dolidze is a fantastic bottom player, and I love watching him do jiu-jitsu.
Most guys are feet on the hips, create space. He's create angles, and he's
Yeah,
really.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Create angles, and go to work. And when you watch him do his work, man, like the three fights I look at, Phil Hall's pop Phil Hall's knee. Phil Hall's couldn't continue.
Oh,
He swept Imavov
and it was a nice.
with a beautiful knee bar and to a sweep. And then what he did to Jack Hermanson was just sinister.
Yeah.
That was absolutely sinister. So I was like, yo, we need more of this guy.
There was actually some jujitsu last week at the Apex that I love that. Well, I don't love that it happened. It was really interesting. You know how we always say position before submission?
Hmm.
Usually when you think of that, you think of a top position. You know what I'm saying? With don't go for an armbar or a triangle, you're gonna end up on bottom. Whatever. That's what people say about that. However, um, I think it was Nora Carol.
Yeah.
Nora, she got taken down by Carol Rosa, and she locked in a Kimura. And this was like position before submission, but on the bottom. She had a Kimura, and she was tight, and then she wanted to commit to the power Kimura. When, especially given the way the fight was going, she wasn't really winning those positions. She could have used that to create space and get to butterfly guard and then work her guard game. Instead, she stayed committed to that submission and she forfeited a safer position on bottom. I thought it was really interesting seeing that. I can't remember the last time I mean, you see it with guillotines,
Yeah.
but and you don't really see it from the bottom playing like that. That was really interesting. It was a good night of fights though. Overall, did you watch them?
I watched some of them. I had a good reason for not watching that
Uh-huh.
card.
Yeah.
I was actually studying for UFC 319.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't watch all the card. I was like I had it on, but at the same time I'm watching 319 and actually paying attention to the fighters on 319 to try to get some insight on that. But I was keeping sharp with some of the fights, and that Tota Taita is a super good fighter, man. Like I
Yeah.
knew he's when they asked me Brett Akamoto asked me who I thought was going to win, like I do my picks, and I said, Park is good. He's a good fighter. He's undefeated. He's a good fighter, but Taita is a special fighter,
Yeah.
and that fight that he had with Brandon Royval is only going to make him better, and it did, and
Hmm.
he's good. He's
So
special.
before I get into that, first of all, that was fantastic jiu-jitsu again. Just those back attacks were vicious. But before I get into that, this card, and I've been a very big defender on the Apex cards. This card, I think, flipped me to the other side. Um, the Apex is getting this stigmatism whenever there's an Apex card that it just sucks and people are going to pass it by. There was a lot of good fights on this card. There was a lot that okay, and in the main card there was three very good fights where Rock'em Sock'em, the co-main event, the opening fight on the main card, great fights. Even the girls' fight that I just mentioned. So when you have these fights, I mean, you have fighters on these cards, and they don't match make on accident as we've gone over before. You have fighters in these cards that are trying to raise their stock. They're going to give it their all. They're this is like now I don't want to say rock'em sock'em, but there's a lot of action on these fights. Now, why I feel that gets wasted at the Apex is not only because the stigmatism. If you take that, and let's say you take that and you go to UFC Nashville, UFC Orlando, UFC LA, whatever, a city fight, a fight night elsewhere, you're going to get that that regional market is now going to watch these fighters that are going to the circus that's in town. They're gonna learn these fighters, and on top of that, more people tune in because it's like, oh, the UFC's in Orlando. Let's watch these. They put on good, and Orlando usually does have good fight nights. You're gonna get more eyes on it and more eyes on these fighters. You're gonna raise the stock of these fighters. Now, I don't think they're gonna ever do away with the Apex. I mean, now granted, things might change. They said they're gonna take things to a global level, streaming wise, whatever that means. So maybe that might change things with the Apex. But I really would like to see fighters like that get their due, and I think that they would do better fighting elsewhere outside this stigmatized Apex. Does that make
Well,
sense?
it does make sense, but I mean, it's still a TV show. You still got to put on a good show for TV. So, like you can't just be like, all right, it's an Apex card, so let's just find the worst fighters on the fucking roster and put them on because it's in the Apex. You still want to put on a good show for TV and have people tune in. But and I'll say this too. We had a production meeting. I'm working this weekend with Alan Joban and Chris Weidman. We had a production meeting today, and I was just iterating how I like working with Chris Weidman and Alan Joban and all the guys. And I'm never competitive about my work because there's so much I feel like there's so much to go around. And the director was like, dude, I just got the schedule, man. It's enough for everybody to eat. So there's going to be work. There's going to be more shows. There's going to be a lot for all of us to do as long as we have fighters that are putting their heart and
Yeah.
on the line and fighting hard. Now the Apex, I don't know if you noticed, but they've been renovating for about a year now. I thought that motherfuckers would have been done, but they are still working on it. And I just pulled up there the other day, and it looks beautiful. Like outside, they have like a ticket counter with like,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, with like, how like at the movie theater they got
Booth.
yeah, the booth and then like the pictures of the upcoming movies. They
Mhm.
got that at the Apex now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like whatever we were lacking in terms of maybe crowd participation for fights at the Apex, I think they're re-upping it so that that's never the case. I think that they're making this place, pretty elaborate.
Yeah. Okay. And now counter to what I just said, I kind of mentioned this adds frequency and this allows everybody to eat like you and the producer just talked about. Is that Apex adds convenience, always adds frequency. Do you think that they'll ever renovate to the point where there'll be more seats at the Apex?
But I think that's what they're doing too.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
adding seats. They're not just putting, some Roman statues on the front to make it look better. I mean, they're doing the whole thing like that. I think that's what's been taking them so long because they had to redo like a lot of the infrastructure so that they can deal with this capacity because I think they want to add like it seats like 250 now. And I think they wanted to do like 1,500 or something like that. Whatever.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It's so whatever we feel like it lacks, in I love it being as small like that, but it's not going to always be that small. They're going to really do it, and I don't know how they're going to be deal with like selling tickets and all that, but they're definitely going that direction where this is going to be a place where they're holding fights and holding events, whether it's BJJ events, grappling events, pro wrestling events, but they're definitely going to make this a place where stuff is being held.
All right. Well, I got to get to an Apex card before they do that. I want to see the original. I still have a certain love for these smoker shows. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Like you've never been to an Apex card, huh?
I've been to an Apex card. I have to get out there.
I,
It's my own damn fault. I can get out there and I'll figure it out.
I told people, man, because I would always tell people, hey, if you're ever in Vegas, man, and I'm working, I can try to get you into an Apex card. They're not always easy to get into, depending on the show. Sometimes they are, depending on who the main event is. But I'm telling you, when we gonna miss it, everybody's gonna miss it. When that shit blows up, we're gonna miss that smoker feel.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss it because there's something about a smoker where it's just like, yo, it's just you and the homies. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, yeah, you're right.
You and the homies. And we gonna miss it when they turn it into a global monstrosity.
Fans don't realize how much they love hearing the seconds out. You're not going to hear that in a big event, in a big arena.
Nope. You're not gonna hear it.
You,
You're not gonna hear Eric Nixick on the side. You're not gonna hear that no more. Like it's gonna be all drawn out.
yeah, I got to get there. I got to see it. So, um, oh yeah, let's focus on you for a little bit here.
Oh.
So there was a short on YouTube I saw of you versus Jeremy Stevens the night when
Mm.
Chuck Liddell knocked out Rampage in the UFC, and you called out, was it Mayorga? No, it was Mayweather. You called out Mayweather.
Mayweather, yeah, Mayweather. Well, so yeah. Rampage knocked out Chuck that night, and I
Right.
called out Mayweather. Yeah,
And you had two double legs they showed. The second one you kind of hung out on your knees, man. I don't want to harp on it, but you
I
kind of
pulled guard.
there was one, oh yeah, and you had a pulling guard, but you weren't, was that by design or was
Yeah,
that
that was by design. I pulled guard and arm barred him.
well, that I know.
Yeah,
I know I'm just shitting on your technique,
yeah.
right?
No, but
No,
you're
okay, go ahead.
no,
Go
you're
ahead.
100% right. I didn't fully commit to that takedown because like that was always my strategy.
Okay.
Like if you shoot, like I always felt like if I shot a takedown and they sprawled, they'd land right in my guard.
Yeah, and there's a lot of space down there to actually really move before they get back into position on top.
Exactly, because they have to like rebalance themselves. So if I anticipate them sprawling and I get there first, I can get the grips and the position that I want before they get back in balance.
All right, so let's give you some props now after your bad double leg.
Yeah, it was an awful.
So,
I've had many of them in my career, Ryan. It was terrible.
but let's talk about what you did with that sequence was probably like 5 to 7 years ahead of what. Fuck it, it was probably 10 years ahead of what everyone else doing. You showed a crisp jab, transitioning to a double leg, transitioning to jiu-jitsu. And that people just weren't doing that at that time. It was that I feel like at that era, that was when we finally figured out to put two things together. You had your sprawl and brawl fighters, like the Chuck Liddells, and then you had your submission grappling fighters. And like doing that, like you had clean boxing, clean striking. And the fact that you were able to do that, I remember Joe Rogan actually pointing that out on the broadcast. And it was fun to watch. Anyone who hasn't seen Dean Jeremy Stevens, go watch that fight because it was ahead of its time. Your technique there.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And sometimes I have to. Sometimes I use that for some of my wild takes today. That I just go, man, I'm ahead of my time. Because honestly, for instance, like all that, a lot of that shit back then, Ryan was frowned upon, man. Like going into a boxing gym and standing a certain way and having boxers tell me like, yo, why you stand like that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or jujitsu guys going, oh man, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. And I go, nah, man, because I need to have these other tools available to me,
Yep.
right? I need to have access to these other things in a real fight if I need them. So I can't do it the traditional way. I need to have access to this other stuff. And they would look at me like I was crazy. And I go, and now I can look back and go, see, I told you. I told you.
I went through some of that stuff when I was boxing. When I was well, I'll say when I was trying to box. I remember I my first move, so to speak, was I always would go 1-2 or right hand high crotch. Um, and then I would go jab, double leg, double jab, double leg. And but the best transitioning I had was actually when I learned how to box, but I was a lot more open. Although I kind of cheated into a boxing stance because I felt that my boxing was so far beneath my wrestling and my grappling that it allowed me a little more boxing defense, being in a little bit more of a pure boxing stance. Plus, I was always shorter for the weight class, so that allowed me to do that. If that makes sense, I think. Like I think if I was a little bit taller, I wouldn't have had as clean level changes. Um, but I used to do this with my fighters too. I used to be like, throw away that like don't be like how I was early on. I'm like, I don't want to see you drilling jab, double leg, 1-2, high crotch. I want you to just shadow boxing back and forth, and whatever feels right at the time it feels right, do it. I would say opponent, I know I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but just opponent. When you see your opponent put the hands up like this to cover, like usually against Thai boxers that works. The legs are open. It doesn't matter what punch you throw. Just throw something and level change and go. And that's what helped me transition a lot. But no, at that time when you did that, it was awesome to watch.
I got a question for you. What, if anything, and it can be more than one thing.
Yep.
What do you have any regrets about your career?
Yeah,
Things that you wish that you did differently?
I try not to. But I wish I actually learned how to box and move my head earlier. But
Hmm.
I also wish that I stayed on top of my diet and my nutrition uh, a lot better.
Was that even a thing back then?
Well, it kind of it was without saying it. I got the
Right.
call twice last minute, and I was too
Damn.
fucking fat. And and then for you, those of you people watching, please don't make my mistake because I think about this all the time. That was me thinking that this industry revolves around my time and I'm going to get the UFC when I want, and the show goes on no matter what. Had I been on the industry's time and just stayed in shape, and I was in the gym, you saw me five,
Yeah,
six times
yeah,
a
yeah,
week,
no doubt.
but I would go to hell with myself on the weekends, or like I was drinking then, I'm not drinking anymore. Like like it's just stay in shape. Like, and this is what we do. That was my biggest regret, is that I didn't my nutrition, and then technically speaking, learning how to box. But my time outside the gym, how I spent that was my biggest regret. If I just was able to just stay on top of my shit, put away the junk food, the booze once in a while, like I would have been fine.
Man, I love what you said about if you didn't think the game was about your time and you understood that. Like if you knew that at the time.
Yeah.
Because we hear like we even hear see that at the highest level. Oh, I'm not fighting this guy. I'm waiting for this opportunity. I went like all that shit that these guys talk about. I love listening to like Evolve and Kaio Bahayo talking about, oh, you're not getting the shot next. I'm getting the shot next. And then the champ's like, no, I'm giving it to whoever I want to give it. Like that's all good talk.
Mhm.
It's all good. It's all good talk. It's fun. It evokes emotion and gets us invested into what they're doing. But the reality is, no one can really call their own shot like that because no one's really on their own time. Like
No.
maybe Connor and clearly John Jones,
Yeah.
but all these other guys, you're really going to have to do with where the machine is at that time, and
So
and that's at the highest level. Now think about like other guys.
the first time I got the call, I remember it had all the makings for a great comeback story too. I remember I had gotten released from Bellator because I got into an argument with them. I had won 5 straight fights with them. They didn't want to put me in their tournament at the time, and they kept offering me one more back in Connecticut where I sold a lot of tickets, one more, and then I was like, no, this is bullshit. You put me in, or I'm out, And then my manager at the time, he was more or less sided with them, and then here I was, I was at American Top Team. All I had to do was stay fit, and then the call came, and I just wasn't ready. Could you imagine if I got the call? Fuck you guys, I'm in the UFC now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in the colorful world of Oz. That's how I always thought of it. Like Bellator was the black and white in the movie, and then the UFC was the colorful world of Oz.
That's hilarious. It's kind of like what it is.
And and yeah, and like it was, and looking back, yeah, like I had some stuff that didn't go my way, but I shouldn't have let that stop me.
Yeah.
No one's path is perfect, and it was.
Well, I mean, but that's a completely different issue.
Mhm.
But all relevant to my point. My next point is that, it sucks sometimes because, you've been through the grind when it was like a real grind. Not like today's a grind for sure, a different type of grind, but you've been through the real grind where it was still everything's still very experimental.
Mhm.
And, and sometimes like even when we have guests on this show, to have to remind them that you fought is like fucking yo, dude, do your fucking homework. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's all right. It really
I
like
know, I know, because I get it too. Like some people don't even know that I fought, but it's just like
wow.
fucking do your fucking homework, man. Like know your history.
Mhm.
Fucking know your history. And I get like some people oh man, I started watching like during COVID. I started watching during like, and I get that from casuals, but from fighters that's been around, it's like, yo, man, do your fucking homework.
Yeah.
Know your
Yeah.
history.
I don't know. Maybe it's a security issue on my end too. Like it never truly bothered me that they didn't know who I was, because I'm starting to realize too. I'm also we're not young anymore. Like
No,
you
we're fucking
really
not
got to do
young.
your homework. I haven't fought in 8 years, and you haven't fought in how many years?
Man, I haven't fought in 13 years.
Yeah,
No, 12 years.
some of these guys weren't even in the sport by then.
Yeah.
At that point. So
I had my
it's
last UFC fight in 2008.
fuck, see, like it's so it's whatever with that. But yeah, like but also too, it's like where my position was, I was in a place where a lot of other people were getting a call or a lot of other people were succeeding. And had I just taken a step back and just made sure I was doing the right thing elsewhere, I would have been fine. I mean, well, I'm fine now, but I would have gotten there. And actually, no, you're making me think of something. A few weeks ago, like you referred to us both as we're good fighters, something like that, and I really appreciated that. Thank you. I know you know that I'm a good fighter, but it really felt good because it reminded me, yeah, I didn't necessarily need the UFC to my name to be considered a good fighter. I was still a good. I always said like I was like a black ops fighter. I'm going to Russia, I'm going to Canada, I'm going to Greece, and fighting all these badass dudes. But no, that really meant a lot. Thank you.
Well, the problem is, and I understand what the fight game is probably more than anybody in the world. And I understand that it's not what most people think. Like most people think fighters are just these guys in the UFC or whatever that the case may be. And again, like most of it is timing. Like most of it is timing. Most of it is divisionally motivated. Things like, I mean, like in I gotta pick on them, but like think of half of the roster of the women's bantamweight. Like in what world would they be professional athletes in any other sport?
Yeah,
Timing. It's timing. It's timing and a lack of competition. And the reason why I say that, and I'm not picking on anybody, but the reason why I say that is because when we came up, like we really did some hard shit and we was really on the front line
yeah,
so that these kids today can have a place to fight and a platform. And while you may not get the credit for it, but you, even though didn't fight in the UFC, you can also be responsible for those guys like Thiago Alves, who was in the UFC, fought for a title, and guys like that. You know what I'm saying? Who training partners with all these guys. So like you are partially responsible for their success. So you deserve some credit for that. And you're never going to get it because motherfuckers are never going to do their homework. So like because I know this, I gotta shine a light on that.
well, I appreciate that. I try to look at it as those who I did help did appreciate it. Like you talk about, I was involved in 4 UFC title fights, like main training partner, 5 if you count the BMF. But like the Masvidals, the Robbie Lawlers, Pitbulls, Dustins, and they're all very appreciative, and I appreciate that. And then of course, like I trained with Will Brooks nonstop when he was on his run and everything. And but yeah, people should know because you could learn a lot. Like you said, we've talked. Remember when you said don't be like me or like don't?
Yeah,
It's like that. You could learn. Look at me and be like, I don't want to be like that guy. Like
yeah.
I'm fine with that. I don't want to see somebody make the mistakes that I made. I don't. I want to be the last person. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. But if I'm the last person to make my mistakes or mitigated those for other people, then I think I did all right.
Well, I think that comes from empathy. And I'm very empathetic. Like some coaches, I feel as though they aren't that empathetic, and they may have went through like they may have had a fight career that didn't go their way, and they take it out on their fighters, and they're harder on their fighters, or they make them do what they did just harder. Right?
Yeah,
It's like you're going to do what I did, but I failed, so you need to do what I did, but harder. It's like it's you failed because you did the wrong thing, not because you didn't do it hard enough, because you probably did the wrong thing. And I think that's an issue. So the fact that you want people to succeed speaks to your empathy, as opposed to I feel like a lot of other people who may not be as empathetic, but maybe a little salty and jealous of
yeah, I've heard
successful
that
people.
before. That I've I'm happy that I've recognized it when people like yourself and Mo pointed out. Like, but yeah, there's no reason. Like, I feel for me to be jealous, that's like drinking poison and hoping that you die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like there's no reason. Like you're gonna succeed regardless of my jealousy. Like or fail, whatever. And if for me to feel happy if somebody fails is like again wasted energy. So why don't you just try to see this person that's working hard, or doing all the right things succeed, and that's just how I see it. Everybody eats.
And how about Mo, another one who doesn't really get the
Oh,
credit he deserves ever.
look at his if you look at his resume, not just in MMA, like two-time Olympic alternate, Pan American champion, like, and then he got into MMA, two-time world champion. Um, Even at the time when he was in Bellator, like there was arguments of him going to the UFC, be the one to beat Chris Weidman. I mean, he was the first wrestler, to really put boxing together. I mean, they've happened, but he really cleaned up boxing, I feel like. Not just heavy hands, like he could box. And he's just such a wealth of knowledge with this game. There's no, it's no coincidence that he's such a good coach now.
Well, and I've always said this too, like in terms of all the combat sports, there might not be another person on the planet more knowledgeable than him in terms of all the combat sports together, in terms of like wrestling, boxing, MMA, and kickboxing. I don't think there's anybody else who really knows the sports and the history like he does on the planet. He might be the most knowledgeable guy on the planet in terms of all that stuff.
Yeah, he knows all these fighters. Like, I remember Cattell wanted me to watch this kickboxer, Gago Drago, with the way he moved
Hmm.
his. And Mo, as soon as I came home, like he's like, oh yeah, he does this. Watch this. Come here. Like he knew the guy, right? Kickboxing, a kickboxer from Brazil. Like he really does know. Even these grapplers now, he knows everything. He's all about it. He even knows the power slap athletes. Like he's a combat sports nut, pro
Yeah,
wrestling.
he stays up all night watching stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's weird, right? He stays up all night, like watching old boxing matches or watching jiu-jitsu matches or watching wrestling matches, but no one can really recall all this information about all these different combat sports like he can.
And he used to just love debating, especially combat sports. I wish he was like, oh man, like we lived with somebody else, Mike, and they would debate over everything. I really think they did it just to debate. Like they were such good friends, but they loved debating with each other. Like just, I remember one time I woke up to go to the bathroom. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're both on their laptops yelling at each other on the couch. I'm like, what the fuck are you two doing? And Mo goes, I'm making him take the mock cop test. I'm like, what? What? Yeah. He says you can be a cop. I'm making him take the test. Like, where did we get? How did we get here? How did we get here? You guys were watching South Park when I went to sleep. Like,
That sounds like him, right? Like he's so I remember he used to argue with Hector Lombard all the time.
God.
Him and Hector Lombard would
Yeah.
argue all day about politics,
Oh
about
God.
Trump, about everything.
Just to do it. Like, and then like, Mo always had this look like you knew the debate was coming.
Yep. But he's not like that no more. Is it
Oh,
or am I he
nah,
because he
I don't think he is. He's he's also older now.
yeah,
Like
yeah. He doesn't feel the need to push his agenda on
we we we,
anybody.
we debate like comic book shit.
Yeah.
Like we're older now.
Yeah.
But no, he was the best when he was doing that shit. He's the best now, but it was so funny when he was doing that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I talk to him all like I try to hit him up every day, sometimes every other day. We talk techniques and stuff all the time and different ways of doing things. I know he's probably not allowed to discuss those things with me, but I mean he's a real one, man. Like we discuss different techniques and he creates like all these different moves and different ways of doing things, and it's always so impressive to see it. I'm like, oh, I gotta steal that.
and he comes
Oh,
up with
I'm
like the
using it.
coolest nicknames for the moves.
Yeah, I'm stealing that.
Damn, death sentence.
Yeah. Rat trap. They get the rat trap. This new one, the
Yeah,
rat
it's a
trap.
new one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So shout out King Mo, one of the greatest to ever do it. If you don't know him,
Death
look
traps.
him up.
Oh yeah, he's got his own channel now. The King's Corner. Check out
King's
YouTube.
Corner. Yeah, check that out. Um, what else, homie?
So speaking of rat traps, I told you I saw a rat the other day.
Oh yeah, did you kill that motherfucker or what?
Got him. You want to hear I got him? So I put one of those heavy duty teeth traps. They're called tomcats. I put that in my gutter. Now these things are supposed to kill the rats on like putting my son to sleep the other night, and I hear in my gutter. I'm thinking that like someone's freaking sawing something in my neighbor's yard. And I go, babe, I think I know what that is. and then I was like, it's dark out. It's like 9:30 at night on a school night, no less. And I called my neighbor, and my neighbor's like, Florida man. He comes over with his gaff, and he just picks up the trap. And I go, this thing's got to be huge, man. There's no way it's dragging this thing around. This rat was like that big. It was just dragging this trap. And then I go, what's next? He goes, this is your rat, man. You got to take care of it. So I said a prayer and
You whacked it?
whacked it. Had to get rid of it.
And then what'd you do with it?
Just tossed it, put it in a bag, and tossed it.
Oh,
Tossed
did you? I would have probably buried it.
It was 9:30 at night on a Monday. But all right, we got to put the focus back on you. So you caught a little heat on the bonfire with your comment. First of all, explain the situation, and then we'll go from there because I know what you're saying, and we talked about that on here, and I agree with you. But go ahead, explain.
Yeah, it's crazy because I talked to Laura Sanko about this today. He asked me about, if Hamza becomes champion. I was like, yo, that's a disaster. He doesn't fight enough. And I think the word that I use as being a disaster was the trigger point. Because essentially what I was saying was that he's a man who averaged in the last couple of years one fight a year.
Yeah.
And he wasn't champion. Like he's not even champion and he's still averaging one fight a year. I was like, imagine him being champion with like obligations. This dude's never going to fight. I was like,
to do with his religion.
Yeah, what's that?
It has nothing to do with his religion.
What's crazy to me was like they was like, yo, I hate Muslims. I'm like, yo. So now I know how white people feel when I pull the race card. Like it ain't got shit to do with that.
How many Muslims have you trained? How many Muslims have you coached?
Man, I've been training Muslims my whole damn career.
Yeah. Magomed, you were very
instrumental. Yeah, hell yeah. In fact, I used to love training them because they were so disciplined. They would come down, they would pray, they'd work. We didn't even speak the same language, but we just communicated because of the art. And then they go back up in the room. We do that shit every day. Me and Magomed Karoff. What's his name? Rashid Magomedov.
I love Rashid.
Yeah. Godzi, all them dudes, man. Like those was my boys. And these were over there, but I'm talking even the Muslims here, like my man Musin Corbre. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I got love for all people, and especially Muslims, because I love their faith and how disciplined they are. So like the idea that I'm against Muslim fighters is asinine to me. I ain't got shit to do with his fighting schedule. And that's what it was. I was saying if he's a champion and he's not fighting regularly and he holds the division up, that's going to suck for Imavov. That sucks for Kyle Bahayo. It sucks for Reiner de Ritter. It sucks for all the up-and-comers who need action, who need movement in the division. When the champion is not fighting regularly, then they have to do shit like create an interim belt, which never really makes sense. So that was my point. And all these motherfuckers missed the point because all they heard was the word disaster.
Well, he's holding up all the nationalities you care about. No, I'm kidding.
No, he's holding up all the religions I care about.
Even the clickbait part, I was like, I didn't put it together. I don't know if they thought you said something previously or I don't know. I didn't get it. And like I just like you bring up training with the Muslims, like why do we call them that? The Russians. Like this is like,
well, they are Muslims, so
they're all Muslims, but like I don't know, their teammates, they're to me they were Russians when they came over. We knew they were Muslims. It was what it was. But yeah, like you said, they were so appreciative. Like I forgot what his name was. He was on Rogan. He's the name of the actor that played the Punisher.
John Bernthal.
Yes. Okay. He was over there and he's like, everyone, the Russians, they get this reputation for being so hard and to the point. But at the same time, he's like, I see men cry and they're totally comfortable with it. And they're just, it's whatever the emotion is, they are that, and they're true to that. And there's something to be said about that. I remember when I walked into ATT, the only person who ever knocked me out was Alexander Shabliy. And I walked into ATT like a few years later, and he was there. I was with my son, and he said hello to me, and he gave my son the most genuine hello ever. He bowed, and he was just, it was the most respectful thing. Like he knew to like be good to my, and respectful to my son. And I just remember being like, man, I really wish you were just an asshole. You were the fucking nicest guy in the world. But and I see that even when he came in to training when I was there, and like he made sure because we fought previously and he beat me. He made sure to come up to me and say hi. And like, is it okay that I'm here? And I was like, yeah. Like, I mean, I didn't. There was like, you could just tell he didn't speak English. You could just tell that was what was being communicated. I was like, bro, good to see you here, man. I know you're a good dude. Um, and then all the time, whenever I needed a training partner, they always like they were always there. Like this is why the Russians are pretty dominant in the sport right now because they're appreciating the sport. Yeah, I'm sure that they're worried about their image to some extent, because it's part of it. But when it comes to the actual martial arts, they're all about it. Remember Amari? What was his last name? Middleweight, fought in the
Oh yeah,
UFC.
yeah. Maury Akhmadov.
Love that dude.
Yeah, that's
First of
my
all,
guy. That's my guy. He always had the brightest smile on his face. Then he always smiling, always
physically
smiling.
the strongest person I've ever trained with. One time I went for a jiu-jitsu round with him and he bear hugged me when I was in his butterfly guard for 5 minutes. Like
Hmm.
physically the strongest person. And one time we were moving stuff at ATT and I had this, I picked up this bag or a box or something and it was too heavy and I was doing this. I was like, oh shit. And then I felt the weight completely come off me. And I turn around, it's just him like with that big smile, like, I got you. Like,
He's like, "Zzz."
yeah. One finger. Yeah.
Nah, man. And I still fuck. Well, so and those are the Russians, but in terms of like the whole Muslim thing, like I still fuck with my Muslim brothers in Philly because I
Yeah.
train a lot of them in Philly. Like a lot of them train at Marquez MMA, and I got nothing but love for them. You know what I'm saying? But they all from like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, um,
Yeah.
Kyrgyzstan, all the different stands. But so they're not directly from Russia, but they train, but they're still Muslim fighters. But and I always go to bat for them too because, and I would always go to because I remember like women, like they don't train with women, they don't talk to women.
Yeah.
And
No
I
time.
remember they'd always like girls with because I train a lot of girls. They'd be like, these guys are sexist. And I'm like, no, they're not sexist. In fact, it's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
Like you're not looking at it the right way. They're actually respecting you more by showing that they're not fucking looking at you like a piece of meat.
Yep.
Or
Absolutely.
you know what I'm saying? Or if they're not married to you, they're not talking to you. And
Yeah.
that's a sign of respect. You're looking at it the wrong way. No, they're disrespectful. Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh, you're looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So Muslims are cool, folks. Dean, he explained it here. It was just
Yeah.
it was a miscommunication.
It was well, I love Mike Bond and I love going on his show, but every time I'm on and I'm always I never know what it's gonna be. I
Uh-huh.
always find out on Monday. We do or on Tuesday when it drops. But I just know as he's listening to me talk and burying myself, he's like,
Yeah.
can't wait till Tuesday, motherfucker.
Yeah, you're pretty good at giving those clickbait talks. You're really
Yeah, man. He's like, oh, we got one. We got him. But yeah, and I'm cool with that. Honestly, honestly, it's like I saw Bilal Muhammad did a video about it too. Like, what the fuck is Dean Thomas talking about? I saw he did that, right? And I was flattered, man, because I go off and I say a bunch of shit and I say a lot of worse shit than that. And like, the shit gets unnoticed. But then when I say some shit and like when, people start talking shit or Bilal Muhammad like creates a video about it, like that's pretty flattering actually. I'm like, yo, man, let's keep it going.
you for clickbait.
Yeah, let's do some more. What else?
Aren't you guys tight?
Who, me and Bilal?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah.
But I know the game, man. What I'm gonna do? Call him up like, hey, man, what the fuck? Nah, that's the game. It's the game, man. We say shit. Everybody, the one thing that everybody's fighting for is everybody's fighting for views, man. That's why I say I don't really care about that shit.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting for views. Everybody's fighting for clickbait and all this and that and the third. So that's all part of the game, man. I don't take none of that shit personally.
Yeah. That's the way we got to be. So, what else is going on? We're 10 days away, 11 days away from. Is there a fight this weekend? I didn't even check
Yeah,
this.
this weekend, Fluffy and
Yes,
Roman
yes.
Dolidze, Fluffy, Roman Dolidze, Steve Erceg, and Ode Osborne. Ode Osborne. Shout out to Ode, man. He's actually a Florida guy.
Yeah.
He in Vegas now. He did some time in Wisconsin, but he a Florida guy. So we Jamaican, went to high school in Florida. So I'm actually picking him to upset, not because he's a Florida guy, but I just think that stylistically, I mean, he got a one-hitter quitter, and Steve Urseg is known to have been a little chinny. So I'm picking him to upset this weekend.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. What else is going on?
I think that's it, my man.
I think that was good. I think
Yeah,
that was free.
it was freeing,
Yeah.
very liberating. Yeah. So, well, Ryan, man, let's do it again next week, man.
I would-
I'm leaving this week, man. I would love to see you on the mat this week. Hopefully next week, I can make it work, but I'm leaving
yeah.
this week. See if I can't make it work next week. But
If you want to do, let me know if you could do it next week. I'll I'll put the pajamas on and practice because I know
I thought y'all were training for Worlds anyway.
Yeah, we're doing it on Fridays. We're doing takedowns, but I'll do some ground stuff on the on.
No, it don't matter, man. Listen,
I want to put the key on anyway.
I just like doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I want to put the key on anyway. So
All right.
All right.
No doubt. Well, if you enjoyed the show today, make sure that you hit like, share, and subscribe. Check back next week. We will be here. And on that note, this court is adjourned.